Welcome to the Tiffany Mika podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it. Those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and leave them in your wake. And the bonus is others will notice. Listen up and take notes because I will show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to the Tiffany Mika podcast. So happy that you have returned, and we're going to talk about something really interesting today, as you could see in the title. So there's a number of myths that surround mindset skills for sport, and I want to uncover the main ones for you today because I don't want these myths to hold you back in bringing out your best performances when you compete. And I also want not to let these myths hold you back from becoming the best person that you can become as well. Because what still happens even today is that many athletes, they still consider mindset training or mental skills training or sports psychology as a stigma, as to there must be something wrong with them because they need to be working on their mindset. So there's that stigma around thinking that, must be something wrong with me because that's what I need to be doing. And I can tell you, when I was 19, you've heard my tennis story before, especially if you've been listening to me for a while. And when I was chasing after my tennis dream, I was training my butt off day in, day out, working so hard. And that when a friend of mine said to me about how poor my mindset was and how poor my approach was to my mindsets around not only my sport, but also with me, I thought, you know what? There must be something wrong with me. And that was the big thing of what, even though that I have identified to you over this time that it was my mindset skills that held me back from becoming the athlete that I ultimately wanted to become in tennis. That was that big fear around that as well. So with all that training that I did, with all that practice, with all that hard work I was putting in, day out, and you've heard me talk about it, at times I'd be training up to 12 hours a day, working my butt off, and still not performing the way that I wanted to in tennis when I was actually competing in tournaments. I thought, you know what? There must be something wrong with me. And there was something wrong with me. And what was actually wrong with me, it was that my mind was closed off. It was closed off to learning. It was closed off to being open. And what it's called, they call it a fixed mindset. So I was closed off to any help. I had my fixed ideas on how I should be and not open to learning anything new. So I thought, I should just know. And I've spoken to you about that before. I thought I should just know. I should just know how to become that athlete that I wanted to become at the ripe old age of 19, right? And if you're the same age as I was when I was 19, or if you're younger, or if you're older, I'm going to be very direct with you right now. I want you to be this. Be open. Just 2 words. Be open. I want you to be open to developing you. I want you to be open to learning new techniques physically and mentally. I want you to be open to getting feedback. You may see this as criticism, but it's not it's not that. It's feedback to help you improve you. I want you to be open to feeling uncomfortable. And that's where they call it stepping outside your comfort zone. You want to feel uncomfortable because that's how you're going to learn and grow. And even if you've heard it all before, whether you've heard it from me or you've heard it from someone else, I want you to be open. And that at that young age, I was so closed off because I was so frightened to work on my mindset. Because it was both of these things. It was, there was that thought that there was something wrong with me. And there was also that fear of, they might hypnotize me into doing something I don't want to do, because just didn't know about how powerful the mind was. I had this fear around it. And that fear that I thought, they're going to play some sort of mental trick on me. Well, that was really that fear of the unknown. And what happened was I just became so closed off. So when I was training at this tennis academy when I was 18 and 19, and we rented a house, there was 3 other tennis players in the house, 2 guys and another girl and myself, and we were renting this house up in Brisbane. And one of the guys in the house, his father was, you could say, like a personal development guru in Malaysia. He's quite well known in that time. I'm talking, a number of years ago now. And this guy in our house, he would have me listen to all these personal development tapes or CDs, tapes and CDs. You probably don't know what they are, but that's what we used to use in the olden days. And I was interested in it, yet I was so frightened of it because I didn't really know how to deal with it. I didn't know what all these new ideas were all about. It sounded great, but there was a lot of fear in there. So because I was so frightened, it's that fear of the unknown, I went back into my hole, right? There must be something wrong with me, or there's something going to happen to me and they're going to lead me into this cult. That was my thoughts around mindset and mindset training at the time. So therefore I chose to close off. So because my mindset was so poor that even the tennis academy where I was training at, one of the head coach booked me in for a session with a sports psychologist. And I only had the one session. That's all I remember. I don't remember much of the session. All I remember is the sports psychologist talking to me about a clock. I have no understanding of what he meant about the clock. I don't know to this day what he actually meant, but that's all I can remember. He's talking about a clock, and I kept thinking, what's the point of a clock? But I made that decision in my life at that time that I'm going to be closed off. And it's quite interesting. I went to a personal development course a number of years ago now, and they were talking about there was 3 significant events that happen in your life when you make decisions. And the first decision is usually around when you're about 4, 5, or 6, somewhere around that age. Something happens to you, significantly to you, and then you make a decision about the world. When you're sort of prepubescent, somewhere between 10, 12, 13 years of age, something happens significantly to you, and you make a decision about the world. And then when you're just coming into adulthood, 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there, again, something happens significantly to you and you make a decision. Now, these could be positive or negative, right? For me, it was negative because I was in a negative space. And I can pinpoint, specific times in my life around those age groups of when I made a decision about the world, and that was how I was going to be in my head from a subconscious level, not from a conscious level. But the point I'm making here for you today is I don't want you to be closed off. I want you to be open to training your mental side for your sport, because it will not only help you in your sport, it will transcend into the other parts of your life, like every other part of your life. It'll make you a better performer in your sport, but it will make you into a better person in your life. Whatever that better person and that better performer looks like to you, that's what will happen. Now, I've given you the story about not being closed off, haven't I? But what I want to do here is I also want to share with you of what the 4 myths are around mindset skills training in your sport, because I think it's really important that we understand what these myths are. So these are the top 4, what I've considered the top 4. So number 1, mindset skills training is only for athletes with problems. So that's a myth. So many people think that mindset skills training is for athletes with problems, those who have some sort of psychological problem. And I'll tell you that that is actually not the case. That is not for that reason at all. Mindset skills training is important to develop athletes into better performers out on their field in their sport. So whether you're playing kickboxing or you're a soccer player or you're a football player, you're a baseball player, softball, lacrosse, golfer, tennis player, you're a track athlete, swimmer, even you're a dancer, you're an actor. It doesn't have to be around sport. It can be around anything else. Anything that you do, these mindset skills trainings is important to help develop specific things. And I'm going to say to you that from an athletic point of view, and this can also happen in any area in your life really, but these mindset skills trainings is so important for athletes to develop mental preparation, focus and concentration, coping with pressure, emotional control. In sports psychology terms, they call it arousal regulation, visualization or imagery, belief, confidence, goal setting, mental toughness, and the list can go on. So you can see how important that is. If you're thinking about your sport, you need all these elements in place in order to help you become the athlete that you want to become, in the sense of performing the way that you want to, being a professional athlete. And yeah, you know what? Let's go for the moon, or beyond the moon to the stars, and become world champion in your sport. So that's myth number one. Myth number two, mindset skills training is only for elite athletes. What a myth that is. This is so incorrect, because mind skills training is used to develop you to become the elite athlete. You don't use it once you get there, because if you think that you don't have to do any mental skills training until you become an elite athlete, well, I can guarantee you that you won't get there, because if you don't work on your mindset skills and work on improving those, that's going to be the thing to hold you back. You've heard my story plenty of times about me talking about from a tennis point of view, because of the lack of belief and the lack of mental skills that I had in dealing with certain situations that came up on the tennis court. That's what held me back becoming the elite athlete that I wanted to become. So the elite, the athletes themselves, the mindset skills training is really good for these types of athletes: junior athletes, weekend warriors, older athletes. And you know, I teach golf, so I teach a lot of older people who play golf. I am constantly managing their mindset around their sport. Constant. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you heard an episode recently, I was talking about a 71-year-old gentleman that I've been working with, managing his mindset around how he's performing out on the course. Happens with everybody. Happens with everybody. It's about developing you as an athlete, all right? It's developing athletes. Even athletes who are physically challenged, athletes who are intellectually challenged, mindset skills training is so important. So you can see that, like, really mindset skills training is for every athlete. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter what level you are, okay? If you want to improve in your sports performance, then you've got to be doing the work on your mindset. So important. Myth number 3, mindset skills training is a quick fix. Many people think that working on your mindset for a session or two, or will be the thing that'll fix you. And you may have heard me talk about meditation in the past, about how to work on controlling your mind better through meditation, for just doing it 5 minutes a day. That's one approach. But that's just one technique to use. There's a whole array of techniques that you want to have in place, because it just doesn't work that way that, I'll go and have a session, or I'll work with Tiff, and I'll maybe do a session with Tiff, or maybe do a session with, someone that I think that's going to help me with my mindset in my sport. And have 1 or 2 sessions and you think that you're cured. There's no cure. It doesn't work that way. What you've got to think of, that it's the same approach like you have for your technical skills in your sport. You learn specific techniques, or that specific technique of that specific skill. And then what do? You practice it. You repeat it over and over again, so it becomes automatic. Well, mindset skills training is exactly the same. You have to practice the mental techniques repeatedly to get the improvements in your performance. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's just like the technical part of your sport. Myth number 4, mindset skills training doesn't work. Well, if you didn't need to use mindset skills or your mind to compete better in your sport, and you only needed to practice physically, then you'd have a lot more competitors in the world competing at a high level. You'd have a lot more elite athletes out there trying to be the champions. Because the difference between an elite athlete and an amateur athlete is their mindset skills. Because I've seen many sports players over the years who are really good, and I mean like they are really good technically. They're at the top of the tree in their sport on an amateur level, but they just can't make it professionally. They just can't get in there. Their skill level is just the same, is just as good as a professional athlete. And the difference between that is that their skills are not up to par. Sorry, that's a golf pun. Par in golf. But their skills are just not there. That's why they are still an amateur athlete and they don't make that transition into a professional athlete, because they haven't developed their mindset skills to get to that professional level. And just put it down to not being good enough. That's what they do. They just put it down as like, well, I can't get to professional level, therefore I'm just not good enough. That was my attitude, right? I had all the skills and the work ethic and the commitment and the desire and everything, but it wasn't the case. It wasn't the fact that I wasn't good enough in the sport itself. It was the fact that my mindset skills weren't there at that time because I didn't know how to develop them. This is why I keep talking about all of this for you. Because thinking that you're not good enough, that's not the answer. It takes time to develop mindset skills. It's not a quick fix solution. It's not like, the fairy comes out or Tinkerbell or someone comes out and waves this magic wand over you and go, aha, ka-ding. You have all the mindset skills in place and you will now be that athlete, that elite athlete that you want to become. It doesn't work that way. You got to remember that these skills are learned skills and they're developed skills, and they must be carried out in a systematic way over time. That's how it works. So those 4 myths are just myths. That's not how it is. And I don't want you to be closed off to working on improving you, because you can do whatever you want to do. Those athletes that you see out there competing, they were once like you, but they kept working on improving every area in their sport. So not just mindset, not just physically, nutritionally as well, right? Managing themselves. There's a whole array of things that you need to be working on. And this leads me into talking to you about the Get Focused Academy. This is why I established it, because mindset skills training is essential for you to become the athlete that you want to become. You're not closed off. You don't want to be closed off. You want to be open to it. Open to mindset skills training. So you're developing you into the athlete that you want to become. This will be what you give yourself in the sense of a mental edge over your opponents. It's exactly what you're looking for. We all want mental edges over our opponents. And there are 8 pillars in the Get Focused Academy that will be essential to you competing the way you want. And I call it, you've heard me, if you've even followed me on Instagram, like at Tiffany Mika Cox. Cox is actually my married name. But if you followed me there, you'll see a lot of posts that I put up there, crush it when you compete. Because I want you to crush it when you compete. That's why the Get Focused Academy was established, so you can crush it when you compete. And these 8 pillars, here are the pillars that we really look at, and then we dive deep into them to ensure that you're really working on the athlete and crushing it when you're competing and being the athlete that you want to become. These pillars, we work on baseline reality. So we're looking at where you're at now, your current level. Then we work on the future from that point. But then we work on the belief development. We work on mindset development. We work on your vision, going after your big sports dream. We're working on how you deal with pressure and strategies around that, how you manage your emotions and strategies around that, the feedback from the wins and the losses, how you deal with all of that in life and in sport, tracking your progress, how to see the incremental improvements when you're not seeing the big result up on the scoreboard. I show you how to manage all of that. And we go through that through the Get Focused Academy. In the Get Focused Academy, there's a new section now established, the Athlete Success System. So it's ideal if you come and join that, because all of these will create you into becoming the athlete that you want to become. So it's a good idea to sign up to the Get Focused Academy and start becoming the athlete that you want to become. So let's not let these myths hold us back. Let's get out there and accomplish our big sports dreams. So if you haven't yet signed up for the Get Focused Academy, I want to see you there. So you go to tiffanymika.com/GF, as in Get Focused, GF-Academy. And if you go through to that page, that'll show you how to sign up for the Get Focused Academy. So I look forward to seeing you there. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today. If you've got friends that you know that would benefit from these episodes, love it too if you could share these episodes with your friends, because we want to build the reach. We want to build the successful athlete community as big as we possibly can. I was going to say reach your potential with Tiff, but we want to do that too. All right, so you got some work to do. Come and join the Get Focused Academy. Go to tiffanymika.com/GF-Academy. It'll be in the show notes anyway, so that you can click on it and come and join it. Look forward to seeing you there. Dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Take care. Talk soon. You work hard, you make sacrifices, yet you still don't see the results. You ask the question, will I ever make it? Will I ever win? You are frustrated, which leads to doubt. You lose confidence and get down on yourself. There are reasons that you're going through this. You just don't know what they are. There is hope and there are answers. Join me, I'm Tiff, for the free Success Athlete Masterclass, because you'll no longer feel held back. You'll have more success and more wins in your sport. And the best thing, the hard work will pay off. Go to tiffanymika.com/Sam, that's SAM. I look forward to seeing you there at the free training. Dream big, believe in you, and go after your dreams.